All right, welcome everybody, or should I say aloha, because today we're going to virtually visit the Hawaiian Islands. With 6 diverse and beautiful islands, there is an island for everyone. Before we get started, I have just a couple of tips for some of our new viewers. This is a live presentation, so there can be moments when your screen freezes. So please be patient and it should correct itself within about 30 seconds. If you are viewing today on a handheld device, you may want to unlock your screen view and turn your device sideways to landscape mode. You're also more than welcome to take screenshots at any time. Sometimes we do have websites or contact information up on the screen, and you may want to keep that info handy for future reference. We do also have a Q&A chat function that is available on the right-hand side of your screen, and at the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A session with our experts. Please post your questions in the chat and we will ask them during this session to the experts. All right, so joining us today, we have Jeff from Travel Brands. Hawaii is one of Jeff's favorite destinations. He's been there about 10 times. And then after Jeff, we do have a familiar face from SelloffVacations. We have Kathy from the Brandon, Manitoba office, and she's going to share her vacation memories of when she's been to Hawaii. So thank you, Jeff, for joining us today.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Aloha, everybody.
All right. So before we get started, before we get started, I guess maybe the question that's on the top of everybody's mind is, has Hawaii reopened for business?
So yeah, this is a situation that's changing fluidly. And technically, as a Canadian, you can travel to Hawaii at the moment. The only thing is you would have to do a 14-day quarantine upon arrival. So obviously for many people, that's not ideal unless maybe you have a vacation rental property or you're staying for a long duration. So fingers crossed, coming October, hopefully that's going to be lifted and then Canadians will not have to quarantine anymore. So all you'll have to provide is a negative COVID test within 72 hours of your flight to Hawaii. So again, this is a situation that is continually being monitored. Many countries, many tropical islands are currently monitoring the situation. But yeah, hopefully sooner than later, that quarantine won't have to be in place anymore. And Canadians will just be able to provide that negative COVID test.
Perfect, thank you. So Hawaii, it's a very popular destination for Canadians. Can you tell our viewers what you think it is that draws travelers to want to visit Hawaii?
Ooh, that's a tough question because for me, there's many reasons. I guess I'll start with just the beautiful scenery. You know, there's mountains, there's beaches, there's volcanoes, waterfalls, and really every island is so diverse that there is something for everybody. And I think that's a big appeal for many people. I'll also mention the aloha spirit of the people. And they're very friendly, very laid back. One of the terms in Hawaiian words you hear a lot when you're in Hawaii is ohana, and that means family. And they really are a welcoming culture and truly try to make you feel like you're part of that family. And I guess the last one I'll say is the enjoyable weather year round. You know, I've been lucky enough to be in January and February. I've been in June and July. I've been in October. Always had very, very enjoyable weather. So for many people, the climate is ideal. And those are some of the reasons I think that draw Canadians to the islands of Hawaii.
All right. So there's 6 major islands in Hawaii. Can you walk us through kind of each island and what each island's known for?
Yeah, definitely. I guess we'll start with maybe Oahu, which I think for most people is kind of the most well-known, obviously with Honolulu, with Waikiki Beach, but really there is a lot more than just that area of the island of Oahu. The North Shore, of course, is very well known for its surfing at the Bonsai Pipeline, and there's also very iconic landmarks on Oahu. So for those that want to do some activities and sightseeing, whether it's Pearl Harbor, whether it's climbing up Diamond Head, whether it's the Polynesian Cultural Center, the Aulani Palace in Honolulu. So again, it is an exciting island, very vibrant and a lot of activities. So if that's what you're looking for, that could be the island that attracts you. For many Canadians, though, Maui actually tends to be their favorite island, and it's a little bit more laid back. What you'll notice is a lot of condominium properties on Maui. So we tend to see people go for longer durations to this island. It's not uncommon to do 10 days, 14 days, 21 days in the island of Maui. And again, they have some very iconic popular attractions as well. So Haleakala Crater would be number one. So you're on the top of this dormant volcano at sunrise or sunset, and just truly a magical experience. The road to Hana, a lot of people will do as well. So this is some very sharp turns and amazing viewpoints and lookout points as well. And then the whale watching from December to March is very visible from the island of Maui as well. So they do have some neat little towns with a lot of shops and art galleries too. So that's the difference kind of between Oahu and Maui. The third one I'll mention is Kauai. And this is known as the Garden Island because it's very lush and very green. And for those that have never been to Hawaii before, I always tell people, you know, if you have a visualization, this is probably the island you're actually picturing. And a lot of movies are filmed here, like Jurassic Park. And then they also have some iconic landmarks like the Grand Canyon of the Pacific, which is Waimea Canyon, the Nepali coast, which actually is only viewable by boat or by helicopter. And of course, you got the Waialua Falls, Fern Grotto, so a lot of things to do there. I will say, though, with Kauai, just remember, it's a bit of a quieter island. So by 8, 9 p.m., majority of things will shut down, and it will turn quite a bit quiet. So great for honeymooners, great for couples, and a lot of people combine it with another island. And then the fourth kind of the big major islands is actually the big island of Hawaii. And I think this confuses some people because they say they want to go to Hawaii, but there actually is an island that's specifically called Hawaii, which is the big island of Hawaii. And again, it's a little bit different because they have an active volcano on this island. So it's not well known for its beaches because they have that black volcanic rock surrounding the island. Definite visit would be to the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. But then it's also the golf capital of Hawaii for any enthusiasts out there as well. So it is an active island. This is where the Ironman triathlon takes place. So a lot of opportunities for hiking and kayaking. And one of the neat things actually is the night diving with the manta rays as well.
Cool.
So those are kind of the big four, but there are 2 other islands that you can visit that we include in the major 6. So one of them is Lanai. And they have 2 4-season resorts, very high-end properties, beautiful 5-star upscale resorts that you can stay at. And we suggest maybe just 1 or 2 nights would be sufficient, and taking in Shipwreck Beach, Garden of the Gods, and a lot of people go for the green turtles as well. And last but not least, we have the island of Molokai. And this is suggested as maybe a day trip from Maui. It's very accessible from there. You can take a ferry if you're very good on the ocean. If you're a little nervous about potential seasickness, you do have the ability to fly from Maui to Molokai as well. And one of the things there is the towering cliffs that are very stunning. And you can actually ride a mule up or down the cliffs if you choose to do so. And of course, Kalaupapa National Park is the other thing this island is known for. He's very well known in Hawaii for his work on Molokai. Aside from that, just some coffee plantations, macadamia nut farms. So it is a quieter, laid-back island. But as you can see, out of all 6 of the islands, they're very diverse. And that's, I think, what draws a lot of people back to Hawaii. They either fall in love with one of the islands, or they want to go and venture and see more of the islands because they are so different.
Great. Yeah, definitely. I would think you did more than 1 trip. So you kind of had mentioned that you can take a ferry between Maui and Molokai. If someone wanted to explore several islands during their vacation time, is it easy to travel between the other islands?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, depending where you're, traveling to Hawaii from in Canada. First, from Western Canada, it's certainly easier. We see people do, 4, 5, 7-day trips very easily. For those that are maybe in more Central or Eastern Canada, they might do a longer duration for, 10 days, 2 weeks, and they can combine multiple islands, especially if it's maybe your first time and you want to try and cram in as much as possible. So one easy way to do that actually would be on a cruise. Norwegian Cruise Line has a great itinerary that, stops in all the major islands. And the great thing with a cruise, you'd only unpack the one time, you get all your meals and entertainment still on board. But when you're docked in these islands, of course, you can still do shore excursions and take advantage of the activities and things that you can do on all these islands. Now, if a cruise is not maybe your forte or not what you're looking for, we also work very closely with the agents at SelloffVacations, and they can piece together and package a couple islands and, book your international flights, book your hotels on a couple islands. We can do the inter-island flights between the islands, so they're very affordable and very easy to book between the islands. And again, we can add in car rentals or transfers or any attractions as well. So definitely, it's very easy to visit multiple islands in one trip.
Awesome. So Jeff, what do you feel are some of the absolute must-see and must-do things in Hawaii?
Well, aside from, some of the major things that I've already mentioned, the big attractions on the island, like your Pearl Harbors and your Haleakala craters, and, those are definitely must-sees. Now, if we're talking in terms of, general sightseeing opportunities and things to try and include, I guess the top of my list would be a luau. And for those that maybe aren't familiar, this is an evening party or feast, live entertainment. They have singing and dancing, fire dancers. So some are a little bit more traditional, some are more modern and have some crowd participation. And then, of course, you get a buffet dinner included as well as drinks. So really is a fun evening to get out and take in that Hawaiian culture. For those that are, water lovers and enthusiasts, there's many snorkeling opportunities. You'll actually see people just with the masks right off the beach that are snorkeling, that close to the shore and seeing an abundance of, marine life. But there are some unique other opportunities, Hanauma Bay, for example, in Oahu, Molokini Crater in Maui. I actually had a very unique experience snorkeling with spinner dolphins out in the wild in Oahu as well. So definitely some great water potential for those enthusiasts. I'll mention as well maybe a sunset or a dinner cruise. So I know a lot of couples and romantics like to visit Hawaii, special anniversaries, things like that. So that would be an option. And then for those that have the money to splurge a little bit, or it is a once in a lifetime trip for them, a helicopter tour would be at the top of the list as well. And as I mentioned, for some of the islands, that is the only way to view some of these particular parts of the island, like the Nepali coast, as I mentioned, on Kauai. Yep. Or could you imagine taking the helicopter over the active volcano on the Big Island as well? So a couple things to suggest in terms of activities.
And definitely some of those are very unique to Hawaii. You wouldn't be able to find that in another destination.
Right.
So if I wanted to be close to shopping, restaurants, and have some entertainment, where would you recommend that I would stay?
Definitely the island of Oahu. So again, you fly into Honolulu, but Waikiki Beach is where all the hotels and condos are located, and there's hundreds of different options to choose from. And literally, as soon as you walk out the front entrance of your property, there's stores and restaurants and patios and, live entertainment and street performers and markets. So this really is, the heartbeat of Hawaii, and a lot of activities, a lot of excitement going on. So if you're looking for that type of experience, the island of Oahu would be the choice for that.
Okay. So we do get a lot of customers that want to stay at all-inclusive resorts, and it's very popular in Mexico and in the Caribbean, but all-inclusive tends to be very limited in Hawaii. If a customer did want, if someone wanted an all-inclusive option, do they have that option in Hawaii?
So yeah, you're very correct. Obviously, the all-inclusive concept is not something that's very popular or that you see in Hawaii. I think there's one hotel in a town in Maui that kind of considers themselves all-inclusive, but no drinks are included. But Hawaii, of course, is very different than your Mexico and Caribbean destinations, where a lot of your time in those places are spent at your resort. You're lounging by the pool, you're on the beach, and you're using, the food and drink options at your resort. Where Hawaii, a lot of people are out and about during the day and exploring the island and doing a lot of these activities. So it's very easy to pack a lunch, or many people stop in a local restaurant. So that is, encouraged, and certainly there's a lot of great food options ranging from food trucks all the way up to 5-star high-end. And it is a safe destination to go out and enjoy these local establishments. And the other thing I'll mention, we do have hotels that do have breakfast rates where daily breakfast is included. Or of course, if you're looking more at one of those condo type accommodations, you would have a full kitchen facility, and there are barbecue areas. So it's very easy to go to the supermarket and grab some essentials and, pack a lunch or make the odd meal per se as well.
Okay, so we were talking about food. What's the one food and drink item that I would have to try that's a must try when I go to Hawaii?
Well, for drink, it would be a Mai Tai. Many of you have probably attempted one of these, but definitely you got to try it when you're in Hawaii. They are the originators. Also, they do some neat, cocktails that infuse, pineapple wine or pineapple vodka or coconut rum. So they obviously take in the ingredients that you find there locally. In terms of food, poi is the staple that you'll hear talked about. And you can attempt to try it. It's not my favorite, but you can attempt to try it when you're at the luau. The other thing with the luau, of course, this is where they roast the pig in the ground as well. So the kalua pork is an option that you can try there. Shave ice. So again, that's kind of our version of a snow cone. There's many flavors. On a nice hot summer day, you definitely want to take in the shave ice. And believe it or not, Spam is a delicacy in Hawaii as well that you'll see quite a bit.
Oh, not my favorite at all. I'll pass on the Spam.
Me too.
So travelers do love to shop. So what are kind of the top items that can be purchased in Hawaii?
I guess for coffee lovers, it would be Kona coffee. So that is from the big island of Hawaii in Kona, but you can buy it on the other islands as well. And a lot of people will take that back as a souvenir. The ukulele, of course, is a very popular musical instrument. And when you're watching the live entertainers, many of them still use that as instrument in their performance today. So you can buy one of those. You'll see people playing on the beach, and something else if you're interested in taking home as a souvenir. I'm wearing my kukui nut lei necklace, but obviously there's fresh flower lei necklaces. There's some with shells. So there's a lot of different lei necklaces that you can buy that many people will take home. And of course, who doesn't love a nice aloha shirt as well? They seem to be coming back in popularity and a trend again. So you can definitely pick one of those up while you're in Hawaii, of course, as well.
Awesome. So when I'm on the island, is it fairly easy to get around? Do I need to rent a car? Is there public transport available? How would I get around to do the different sightseeing options on my own?
So out of those 4 kind of big ones out of the 6 islands that we talked about, we definitely encourage a car rental on all of them except Oahu. Oahu is a little bit easier to get around. I personally still encourage a 1-day car rental on Oahu, but yeah, definitely the other islands, things are a lot more spread out. So we do recommend a car rental, and couple things to keep in mind when it comes to car rentals. First of all, definitely pre-book before you go down. First of all, you'd pay in Canadian dollars. And secondly, there are some very popular times of the year. And if you try to rent a car, for example, when you land in Maui in February, there's a very good chance they're going to be sold out. So again, you don't want that disappointment. So pre-book your car rental, and the agents at SelloffVacations can help you with that. Now, speaking of, I guess for those that maybe do not want to rent a car or are a little hesitant, there are still ways to get around the islands. And we do offer airport transfers with lay greeting on all of the islands. So it'll be pick up and drop off at your hotel to the airport. Also, some of the excursions will have a pick up and drop off at the hotel or maybe a general meeting point. There's taxis on the islands. And then the island of Oahu, because it's, again, very accessible, they do have city buses and trolleys that are very easy to navigate as well.
Okay, sounds very easy to get around. So Hawaii is part of the United States, but they do have a very distinct culture. Can you tell us a little bit about that culture?
Yeah, so again, it is part of the US, as you mentioned, US currency. So for many people, that makes it feel not as foreign. Having said that, it's definitely different from mainland USA. They do still have their own culture, their own language. As I mentioned, the aloha spirit of the people are very welcoming. And, when you're watching, the song and the dance that they perform, you truly see the Hawaiian people still have a love and affinity for that culture. And, it's something as a tourist that you really feel welcoming. And, even though they are part of the USA, I think because it's off the mainland, it does feel like you're somewhere different. And, they still use that culture and language all the way up to today, passed down from their ancestors. And something that's unique, it is the only place that has a palace in the USA where the king and queen used to reside. And I was lucky enough to do a tour through there, which is a very neat experience as well.
Awesome. So I know you had mentioned that the weather is great all year round, but what would you consider to be the best time of year to visit Hawaii to have the best experience there?
Well, I guess there's a couple parts to that answer. For many Canadians, mid-December to March is when they want to go because, of course, it's winter in Canada. The temperatures are cold. You want to get to the beach, enjoy the nice sunshine. But many people obviously have that same thought in their head. So it is a popular time to travel to Hawaii, and the rates tend to be a little higher. Now, the other kind of popular time frame is during the summer from June to August, because we see a lot of family travel at that time from mainland USA. Kids are out of school, that's their summer holidays, they're going to the beach for vacation. So if you're looking for maybe the best price point and when it's less crowded, then the low season we suggest would be April to June or September to mid-December. And again, you'll get a better price point. It'll be less crowded. But as I did say, I've been several different months throughout the year, and I've always had great weather, great temperature. If there is technically a rainy season, that would be from November to March, but it's still very enjoyable, as I mentioned, when I was there in January and February.
Okay, perfect. So there's tons of beaches in Hawaii on all the islands. Which beaches are your favorite and why?
Ooh, again, another tricky question. As you said, yeah, there's hundreds of different beaches. So really you can find, your own personal favorites. I'll give you a couple for Oahu. My favorite is actually on the east side of the island, Kailua Beach. And this is where you're going to find, that beautiful white sand, that turquoise water that everyone loves. And obviously way less crowded than Waikiki Beach. So for me, Kailua Beach in Oahu is one of my favorite. If we're going over to Maui, I call it Big Beach, but the technical term is McKenna Beach. But everyone there probably does still call it Big Beach. And the reason, obviously, it is very big, very spacious. So you can certainly find your own space. It's not too condensed. And actually, this is one of the beaches. We were talking about the humpback whales in Maui, where I was sitting just on the beach lounging, and I could see some humpback whales in the distance, right from the sitting in the sand on Big Beach, McKenna Beach in Maui. And then if I had to pick one in Kauai, I'd go with Poipu Beach. And again, the reason for that is it's among the safest in Hawaii. They do have a shallow protected swimming area. So great for anyone with little kids and those that are a little cautious, you know, with the waves. It is a protected swimming area. So if I had to choose, those would be a couple off the top of my head.
Okay, that's great. So last question of the evening for you, from me anyways. What is your very best insider tip that you can offer to anyone wanting to travel to Hawaii?
I don't know if this is necessarily a tip per se, but I'll just again reiterate, my favorite island is Oahu. And, you know, while I love everything in Waikiki Beach, and that's one of the reasons I do like Oahu, you know, many people tend to get caught up in just that area, but there is so much more to see and do than just, you know, that Waikiki Beach area. So this is why either do a Circle Island tour, which again, the agents at SelloffVacations can help arrange, or this is why I recommend a one-day car rental as well. So you can drive, you know, to the east side of the island, take in those beautiful beaches that I mentioned, you know, with that turquoise water. You can also stop at Kualoa Ranch, where they have filmed some very famous movies. You can also continue on up to the North Shore. Again, this is where the surfing and the bonsai pipeline is. Stop at the food trucks and take, you know, in some fresh seafood and shrimp, while also having some shave ice as well. On the west side of the island, you can do some horseback riding. This is where I also did that wildlife sail where I got to swim in the wild with spinner dolphins, you know, swimming alongside of me in the middle of the ocean. So there is a lot more to Oahu than just Waikiki Beach. We talked about Diamond Head and all the attractions as well. And then I think the last thing that I'll just mention, you know, which maybe could be a tip, I guess, is enjoy all the free entertainment available for you. You know, there's tons of live music going on at many of the restaurants. There's street performers, as I mentioned, when you're walking down Waikiki, you'll, you know, see impromptu hula performances and ukulele performances for free right on the beach. So take all that in and really enjoy the people. As I mentioned, the food's amazing. So these are some of the reasons, as you can see, why it's one of my favorite places to visit, hands down. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for all of your insights. It was great insight on Hawaii.
Perfect.
Kathy, I know you enjoyed your time in Hawaii and you wanted to share that with us. Can you please tell us about your experience in Hawaii?
Absolutely. It's a privilege to be here and back again. Look at me getting to talk about another fabulous tropical island and trip. I have been blessed getting a chance to go with my family and some of my girlfriends and going to some of these destinations. So I've been to 3 of the islands. I've been to the Big Island, I've been to Maui, and I have been to Oahu. But I'm going to focus on the 2 sides. I call them 2 sisters, really, the 2 different personalities of the same family. This one is Maui. So when I look at this picture and I see this beautiful, chill surfer dog, it says Maui for me. It is the laid back island. This is where I think that people went in their 20s and they thought they'd live a few years on the beach and stayed forever. So it is one of those islands that has its own feel to it and its own pace, and you are so connected to nature. And I would recommend it first and foremost as a family vacation. So here's a picture of my family. Here we are at Maui, and we have just had the chance to experience and connect with the ocean and the earth and with each other. And I think post-COVID, that's going to be top of mind for most families, is just a chance to reconnect. And I think Maui would be an excellent destination for that, especially when you can have a condo and you can control some of your coming and going and your public spaces in a very controlled personal environment. So a 2 or 3 bedroom condo for an extended family, I think, would be an ideal vacation into the future. So here we are at we're at the Marriott in Wailea. So this is a traditional luau, just as Jeff was talking about. That's the kalua pork. There is a tradition and a ceremony that they go through. It starts late afternoon, and then there's the meal, and by the time sunset rolls around, the show really kicks up. You've had a very relaxed, wonderful time on the beach there, and I will say that the show we had was, you had to reserve in advance. That Marriott show was very coveted and you didn't want to miss out, so you got your tickets in advance and you headed down there. And they got the kids involved. The kids were up on stage doing a little bit of hula as well. And it was just a really wonderful experience. Of course, my boys were most dazzled when it came to the firework and the just that dynamic show. It really lit up the night. And so that's one of those once in a lifetime memorable experiences. But I will say that I don't want Hawaii to be a once in a lifetime experience for anyone. I want Hawaii to be on that list where people go back again and again. And I feel like if you have saved it for a once in a lifetime trip, you may have missed out on one of those destinations that becomes a second home. So this again is Maui, and there are lots of activities for the kids. And even in these COVID times, Maui Ocean Center, you can connect with them online, and they do have live webcams and they have classroom lessons. But to experience it in person, of course, would be the best. We went and spent an afternoon at Maui Ocean Center. Costs around $100 or so for a family of 4 to go and experience the day. Then we jumped on a whale watching tour right at the marina at the Maui Ocean Center. It was a really relaxed, fun-filled afternoon, very casual. The kids loved it. They had non-alcoholic pina coladas on the boat, and the eco team was really fantastic, engaging the kids. We of course saw whales. That's guaranteed. If you don't see a whale, they'll get you on another ship another day. So what I will say about Maui is you need a car. And you need some time to relax. It has a vibe, and there are 3 different coastal areas that you could get a condo at, or there also are hotels like the Four Seasons or the Marriott. There's condos with golf courses, there's condos with homestay and your own kitchen, but it's up to you. And I will say that for our family, the splurge was family surfing lessons. And I'll never regret the morning that we spent and the time and the money together to do that. It was a wonderful experience. Out in the beaches of Kihei. Kihei is a little older area out there. Wonderful surfing, nice protected land and protected ocean. So it wasn't rough. And they had an instructor stay with us. That's my son Calder, just loving every minute of giving up on a surfboard. It was and I would recommend, one of my insider tips, I do say, splurge if it's a once in a lifetime experience there, learning to surf, and it's on your list, and pay for the photo package. That photo to me is priceless. And instead of me trying to keep a camera out of the water and watch everyone else have a good time, I got to participate and go surfing too. So that was a lot of fun. For Maui, I think of it as just a way to connect with your family and spend some really special time. Now, this is the other sister as far as I'm concerned. Oahu and Honolulu, that's the wild sister. She's a combination of Hollywood and Las Vegas without the gambling. Did you know that, in fact, the islands of Hawaii, there is no gambling? It is not part of what they believe in or culture, and they've kept it out of their community. There's no lotto tickets, there's no sports betting, and there's no casinos. What you will find in that Waikiki area is some nightlife, some amazing 5-star restaurants. You'll find shops and lots to do. Now, I've gone to Honolulu and the Waikiki Beach area specifically as a girls' trip, but I've also gone back with one of my sons. He loved it. Now, when I talk about crowds, and you'll have lots of those Instagram moments, but this is that Waikiki Beach, and that's that public pier. And every night the crowds are down there trying to get that perfect Instagram photo. If you look closely in the back there, you see that Pride of America cruise ship. The other thing to mention is that the Pride of America by NCL is the only cruise line that has a home port in Hawaii. They're the only ones who are stationed and have Hawaii and Honolulu as their home port. Any other cruise you would take to Hawaii might leave out of Los Angeles or San Francisco, but a 10 or 14-day cruise because you have to cross the ocean. Where with the Pride of America, you have 7 days of just touring the islands of Hawaii, and you pick it up at the port of Honolulu. Diamond Head. So we're standing at the northern point down by the Hilton Hawaiian Village. My son is teasing a little bit because everybody's in the way trying to get their own perfect Instagram picture of Diamond Head. Diamond Head is that landmark. It's right at the end of that beautiful, busy beach walk. If you do take the time to go up and see Diamond Head, I absolutely recommend it. It is a way to rise above all of the busy activity and hustle and bustle of that beach and tourist area, and you'll hike up the hill. It is absolutely a hike. You'll need your sneakers. You'll need bottles of water. It's not something I recommend doing in flip-flops. There are no benches. There are no washrooms. It's a committed hike, and you will need probably 90 minutes or so to go and do that. But once you get up there, the views are incredible. You get that whole view of that Waikiki Beach, and that's looking north. I loved it. My son, of course, wanted to take the speed route. He loves to race, and at one point on that hike up Diamond Head, you have a choice to go left and take the low elevation meandering trail, or go straight up the flight of stairs and then through a little crawl space of an old I think it's like a mine shaft, actually. And of course, having a teenage boy, that's exactly what we did, was straight up as fast as possible. So it's an experience, and I do recommend it. We used public transportation. So we use that Waikiki trolley. It's about $7 a day pass. It stops at shopping malls. It stops at the beach. It goes to Diamond Head National Park. So it really was an efficient and a cost-effective way of getting around. I didn't rent a car. It is about $35 a day just for parking at a lot of the hotels, even if they do have space. So like Jeff said, if you're going to rent a car in Oahu, just do it for one day, or take a public transportation or do one of the many tours that are offered. When it comes to eating in Oahu, on the island, there's so many different meals, but right specifically in that Waikiki Beach area, you'll have 5-star choices, and you'll also have comfortable casual food like the shrimp basket or a fish sandwich. Everything is really ocean focused, and if you like seafood, you'll certainly find something that you love. It is an area that's got a Starbucks on every corner. As a tip for money saving, I would also say that the ABC stores are your new best friend. You can pick up local beer, and you can also pick up breakfast food, snacks. This is that food truck court, that food truck area that people talk about, and it's a hidden gem and you must find. So we went, it's just about a block off of the beach. It's kind of tucked in a narrow alleyway, half a dozen food trucks, AstroTurf on the pavement, and picnic tables. It's modestly priced, and we had a beautiful shrimp and salad meal there. Quite enjoyable. The opposite of the food truck food in the back alley of Honolulu and Waikiki Beach is, of course, the coconut cake. And this coconut cake, I paid about $25 American for one piece. You can also go to the Cheesecake Factory, but this was from the Halekulani Hotel, and I had heard that it was the most amazing cake on earth. So I tracked it down. I love coconut myself, and it comes with an orchid and a raspberry coulis sauce. Absolutely memorable. I would love to make it at home sometime if my skills would allow it. Now this cake tastes like a cloud, exactly as I would imagine a cloud would taste. It's just cool and light and amazing. So there was my 5-star dessert. Of course, there's a Mai Tai, and so there's my money saving tip is find yourself a happy hour. If you can get a $5 Mai Tai on the beach where you can do some people watching, then that's a wonderful thing in Hawaii. The food is amazing, whether it's papaya or dragon fruit, pineapple, macadamia nuts. You definitely won't go hungry. There is a little place if you want to go for breakfast. It's almost like a Seinfeld episode. It's out back and around the corner and down the hall past the Hilton Resort. It's on the second level of a little strip mall, and it's called Goofy's. It's one of these places that has more demand than it has tables. So what you do is you line up. You look at the menu, you're very focused, and the minute you get your table, they want your order. There's no lollygagging, and as soon as you lick your spoon the last time, you're in and you're out. But well worth it, lots of fun. Now here's that Hilton Hawaiian Village that you might recognize from photos. I love it. I've stayed there myself. That iconic Rainbow Tower. You may have seen it in movies, films. One of the neat and free experiences there at the Hilton Hawaiian is they have gardens, they have fish ponds, but they also have sort of a walk of fame. They have bronze statues and plaques talking about Elvis doing Blue Hawaii there. I have various presidents that have visited, Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, and all their famous visitors, they talk about it. The gardens themselves is very much like an oasis. But at that Hilton Hawaiian Village, they also have value-added experiences. Like we're seeing on the screen here, that's Friday night fireworks. There's every Friday night, no cost fireworks on the beach. That's from a lounge setting. There's music every evening, and it's a beautiful outdoor setting on the beach. So while it might be in that busy Waikiki Beach strip, it is your own oasis. Now, there's plenty of opportunity for Instagram photos and sightseeing just a few blocks from your hotel. I wouldn't recommend getting a taxi or renting a car if you just want to do a little bit of shopping. You can certainly walk faster than and through the traffic. There's that surfer's lane. If you'd like to spend some time in that 5-star resort on that beautiful strip, that is the Westin Moana Surfrider Hotel. If you have $1 million to spend while you're there, go next door. You'll see the Jimmy Choo shoes next to the Rolex jewelry store. You'll also be able to buy a Tesla or any number of luxury cars and items right on that strip. So if you have $1 million to spend and you'd like to go do it in Hawaii in tropical, beautiful setting, it is very possible. I'm always on a budget, so I'm looking for experiences on the beach. And like Jeff said, there's plenty of value-added entertainment, whether you're renting a surfboard or you are just having a sunset walk and enjoying that golden hour. You'll find yourself with a Dole Whip or some ice cream along the way. There's always something to see, but connecting with nature is one of those special things about Hawaii. I think that's what keeps me coming back. Yeah, it's a screensaver, I think. It's no, but it's actually a photo I took. So you'll have your own. I would just say that I agree with Jeff. Absolutely. I think Jeff and I would travel very well together because there is more beyond that Waikiki Beach strip. And this is exactly that East Coast beach he mentioned. It's Kailua Beach. We took a day tour and did a Circle Island. We had an opportunity to go and see the set and some of the beautiful landscape that is around that Jurassic Park area. There's so many movies, series, if you remember Lost or Hawaii Five-0. A lot of that was filmed on that big, beautiful mountains and greenery and landscape that is the rest of the island. You can do a coffee tour, but you can also go and do the fun for the family Dole pineapple plantation. We did the garden maze. There was no photos of it because my son wanted me to hurry up and answer the questions and get through the maze as fast as possible, so he could get to another Dole whip and that train ride around. So I will say that Hawaii can be anything you want it to be. And even if you choose a quick trip with your friends, there can be moments like this. That's the beautiful infinity pool at the Sheraton Resort at Waikiki Beach. It's right about center strip, and they have this gorgeous infinity pool that makes you feel that you are part of the ocean, that you just, the beautiful ocean waves as far as you can see. They have live music every night, and then the tiki torches lit, and you absolutely are in paradise. And if I had to pick one most memorable moment, I do love that infinity pool right there. I'll grab a cocktail and sit by that pool anytime. I'd love to answer your questions if there's anything that I can help with, whether it's helping you personalize a vacation to Maui or Kauai or Kona or the island of Oahu. I am available. My contact information is coming up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy. That was your photos are beautiful. Shannon, I believe you've joined us today, and you've been looking after the Q&A, and you're going to moderate the Q&A with Jeff and Kathy.
I have, I have quite a few questions to get through here, so we'll take a few minutes to hopefully answer all of those. I'm going to start with Jeff here. Jeff, can you speak? You did mention about the Norwegian Cruise Line's sailings as a good option. Someone asked, is the Pride of America cruise ship a good option for a first-time visitor?
Yeah, and actually, I think Kathy mentioned too, it's the only ship that's actually docked right in Hawaii. So the great thing is you don't have to take up 2-3 sea days sailing from, LA or San Francisco or Vancouver to get to Hawaii. You just fly right to Hawaii. You can get on the ship. And the good thing about cruising around the islands, if you've never been, it'll give you a taste of each of the islands. So I guess you can figure out which one appeals to you the most. And then if you want to plan a week or 2 weeks vacation, you can pick the island or the 2 islands that you want to go back and spend more time with. So I think, that's a great choice for a first timer.
Okay, perfect. I think I haven't been to Hawaii, unfortunately, so that's always what I've said I'll do when I first go. So we'll see. So I'll come to the next question here for you, actually, Kathy. Someone asked, and I know we touched on this as well during the presentation, but someone asked when would be the best month to visit the island, or another part of that question is when is the cheapest time of the year to visit Hawaii?
I'm the perfect person to ask that question to, because I love an off-season budget vacation.
Right.
I've been there the first week of December. I've been there in November, end of October. I've been there in April as well. So the weather is fantastic year-round. It's not in a hurricane belt. You're not worried about the September to December water and hurricane season like you are in the Caribbean. So I would say, as far as Canadians, and there's lots of flights available, the 2 islands and airports that are most frequently used from Canada, you've got Honolulu, and then you have OGG, which is Maui. And then, so there's lots of flights going to those. You can make a 10-day vacation, 14. I'd say if you're looking to save, 10, 15, maybe 20% off of the winter vacation, let's go for November or April.
Okay, perfect. And another question that came in that's very related to that, I'll just ask it at the same time, is would late August be too crowded or pricey to travel?
It's up to you. When you've got time off work and you're able to enjoy your vacation, that's the right time. And absolutely, you could go in August. Some of the attractions it may not be not everything operates all of the time at full capacity. And so you may have to wait another day or 2 to get a Circle Island tour, whereas in January, they might be going twice a day, every day. That's all I'm trying to say. It's the perfect time whenever you want to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, for sure. And we always do our best job to put the packages together to suit your needs, right? So there's lots of options for Hawaii, at least. Jeff, I'm going to come back to you. And I know Kathy actually just kind of touched on this very briefly just now, but someone asked, do we need to consider hurricane season in Hawaii? Oh, you'll have to take yourself off mute, Jeff.
There we go.
Yeah,
no, there is no hurricane season really that you need to worry about. I think off the top of my head, there's only been 2 ever, and one was back in the 50s that ever have hit Hawaii. And the reason is they're so far out in the Pacific, either they usually weaken by then or they deflect into another direction. So unlike the Caribbean, as Kathy mentioned, it's not something you need to worry about with Hawaii, and which is one of the reasons the climate is so enjoyable year round.
Yeah, I think I read the last one that hit was 1992, I believe. So yeah, I don't think there's any concerns there at all. That's perfect. Thank you.
I will say about the weather year round, if I may interject, is that don't make small talk at breakfast and ask what the weather is going to be like for the day. That is a big difference. As Canadians, we talk about the weather constantly. If you ask your waitress or a neighbor there, you meet by the pool and ask them what the weather is going to be like for the rest of the week, they look at you like you're ridiculous. It's always wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, I have another one for you as well. And Kathy might be able to add to it. But someone asked, what are the meal prices, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the restaurants, especially along the beach areas? Like what should they expect? I mean, I'm sure there's a variance there, but.
Yeah, I don't know if Kathy can give specifics. I'll just say there's such a wide range. It's really as cheap or as expensive as you want to make it to be. There's everything from, your $6.99 breakfast in your McDonald's right down the street, all the way up to your 5-star high-end, revolving tower restaurants. Obviously, as you walk into some of these more higher-end 5-star resorts, their restaurants are going to be a little bit more pricey, you'll find, than some of the ones across the street from the beach. But a lot of properties and restaurants actually give happy hour 2-for-1s on appetizers and some deals like that. So as I said, it really is up to you and how much you want to budget. But there's cheap food trucks and food courts and all the way up to 5-star high-end dining.
Yeah. I always say it's comparable to like going to Vegas when I sold it in the past in that regard. So it's lots of choices. So I'll come back to you, Kathy. Someone actually asked which hotels do you recommend for older families, and I think that's a question best for Kathy to actually contact you individually, or you contact her to answer that, because there's so many options. I mean, Kathy, you can certainly speak to it now, but she can be reached at Brandon at SelloffVacations.com, which is also in their chat area.
If you're looking on the Maui in a 2 or 3 bedroom condo unit, there's 3 specific areas. There's the Lahaina area, there's Kihei. I like Kihei because it's centrally located to a number of great beaches, restaurants, and shops. And then Wailea. Wailea has golf courses and some of the 5-star resorts. But let's look at your needs. Let's look at how many people and how many beds you need. And that would be one of those travel agent tips that I would give everybody. If you're looking at booking, before you do, talk to an expert. Don't pick the first cheapest thing that you see online without reading the details. It's important that you have enough beds. It's important to know, especially in Maui, if it's a walk-up or not. If you're not comfortable walking up 2 flights of stairs and entering the unit from the outside, well, let's talk about that. Let's find a place that you have ground level and that you have patio. And so let's look at it. And that while the bigger price tag on some of these family units might be intimidating, once you break it down to per person, I think it can be quite affordable. I have seen lately, of course, I've been looking online and found some great travel branch packages. You can do 10 to 14 days in November or April with a condo in Maui, about $2,200 to $2,500 a person.
Okay.
and then your
Excellent.
meals on
That's-
top of that. But there's my other
Yeah.
tip about eating, is that if you were home at your house, you would be shopping at Sobeys, and you'd be buying groceries for the week anyway. If you're shopping online, there's a Safeway and there's Costco, and you can get groceries percent more than what you're spending at home. So I wouldn't get hung up on it not being all inclusive. You can do this. And
Yeah.
again, with the ABC stores, they're on every corner. That's the first thing I do when I get there, is I zip to the ABC store for a bottle of rum and some breakfast cereal and some milk and some granola bars. And then the kids and I are ready to tackle a day, and we'll sit down for a nice meal into the evening. But for us on the go, it's ABC store and snacks.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Jeff, I'm going to come back to you quickly here. What island, in your opinion, would be the most expensive for hotels? Would there be a specific one, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a specific island, but again, we have everything from 3-star all the way up to 5-star. Obviously, some specific chains are more higher priced. You know, your Hiltons, your Westins are a little bit more expensive than some of the other properties. So yeah, I don't think there's a specific island that's more expensive. It's more the type of property that you're going to be looking at. The one thing I will mention, though, to be cautious in Waikiki, a lot of hotels have started daily resort fees. So that's something similar to what you see in Las Vegas now.
Yeah.
Just be cautious when you're looking at some hotels, because there are certain hotel chains that do charge a daily resort fee.
That's some good insider info.
Up another $30-40 US a night. So
yeah, absolutely. And another quick one for you, Jeff. In your opinion, and I'm sure Kathy could answer as well, but where are the nicest beaches, in your opinion, of course?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'd say either Maui or Oahu.
Yeah.
So again, the Big Island is not known for beaches, so that would immediately be off the list. Kauai has some nice areas, but definitely I think Maui and Oahu have some nicer beaches.
Yeah, and someone else actually just quickly mentioned, how are the beaches and snorkeling in Kauai? Is snorkeling popular?
Yeah, you can snorkel on any of the islands, definitely. I haven't spent as much time on Kauai as Maui and Oahu, but it's definitely something you can do on the island. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Kathy, I'm just going to come back to you quickly. This will be our last question for the evening. Can you tell us about airport transfers options and how those work? And also a follow-up to that one is there a lay greeting upon arrival just automatically, or is it an option?
It's an add-on option. The other thing I will tell you is that most of the flights leaving North America, almost all of the flights leaving North America, will arrive early evening in Hawaii, but your body already feels like it's 3 a.m. because there is a time difference of 4, 5, 6 hours depending on where you're coming from. So you may leave, actually you can leave Brandon, Manitoba at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and arrive in Honolulu at 8:40 p.m. It's not that quick. There's a time change. So, but your body feels like it's 3 a.m. And so depending on the type of traveler you are, renting a car at your destination might not be the best option because your body feels like it's 3 a.m. So I am a big fan of the shuttle transfer at the airport. I like to have it pre-arranged so that there's someone waiting for you. And when you have them waiting for you, there is that option for a lay greeting. It is an add-on. And whichever package is, it's not a traditional package like if you're going to Mexico and all-inclusive. Transfers are not included. You can add it on. It is something that you should pre-arrange, and I would encourage that. And then lay greetings can be anywhere from $20 a person to $35 a person. But I think it's one of those splurge moments that makes Hawaii, and you feel like you've arrived. The other thing I will note is that the way home, your flight probably will not leave till 9 or 10 p.m. And then you fly back to North America, arriving in the afternoon, but you're exhausted. So those are pretty hefty travel days, well worth it. And that's why I think tailoring a 10-day or 14-day vacation somewhere from Central or Eastern Canada would be best. if you're in Calgary or Vancouver, I'd say go for it. 5 days, you can do this. Have extra Kona coffee and have just a barrel of fun in Hawaii.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's great, Kathy. And Jeff, thank you so much for answering those questions. I'm going to put it back to Sherry.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I was going to say that Hawaii is a unique destination that I think everyone should visit at least once, but clearly you're going to need multiple visits to get the best enjoyment out of the Hawaiian vacation. So I do want to say thank you to all the viewers for joining me today. If you have posted a question and it didn't get answered, Shannon will be on the chat function for about 10 minutes after the presentation to answer those questions. As well, you're more than welcome to call SelloffVacations tonight. Our agents are available until 9 p.m. Eastern for you. And you can reach one of those agents at 1-877-735-5633. As well, you can also contact Kathy, our Hawaii expert who was on with us today. You can reach Kathy by email at brandon@selloffvacations.com, and I know she would love to hear from you. So today's presentation will also be posted on our YouTube channel, which is MySellOffVacations. And on our channel, you can also view any of our past presentations as well. We've been posting the latest resort and airlines COVID safety videos if you wanted to have a look to see what past resorts you've stayed at are doing to help keep you safe from COVID. So next Wednesday, we're not going to be featuring a destination, but rather we are going to be talking to experts about some of the changes that you should expect to experience when you are ready to resume flying, especially to the sun again. Okay, so until next week, please join us for that next week. We'd love to see you. And until then, bye-bye or aloha.
Thank you, everyone.